So, hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. As a part of the greatest extravaganza and the biggest show that is going to happen on starting 9th, we are doing our analysis and how we feel the team should line up. And the teams that we have picked for today is Kings 11 Punjab, which I'm sorry, I should say Punjab Kings. They have changed their names to see if that changes their fortunes. Let's see if that will. And Rajasthan Royals. And with me today is Arsh. Hi Arsh, welcome back.
Hey man, how are you doing? Before we go anywhere, guys, if you're tuning in for the first time, please hit the like, please subscribe. If you have been our regulars, then please do give us a shout out. It will help us immensely. And these are our Instagram and Twitter handles mentioned below. You can feel free to follow us there. So hey man, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So let's start with Rajasthan Royals. Rajasthan Royals, a team that I have always had a special place. If not Mumbai, I would support Rajasthan Royals and or Chennai. Rajasthan Royals would be a preference, and the reason for that being they have always banged on youngsters, and last year was that one year when none of the youngsters actually showed any promise. Steve Smith's captaincy was identified as one of the flaws where he was not banking on Indian youngsters. Things might have changed this time around. New captain and a new look. I still feel that they do lack a decent Indian bowling bench, but they have tried to plug the gap with getting overseas bowlers. Mustafizur Rahman is supposed to join this team, and I think that that might benefit the team. How do you see this team lining up?
So I don't see a core here apart from Sanju Samsung and Ben Stokes. There's a lack of core which is around any other team, right? So I see the core not being to its potential, and so yeah, you can say that there's Sanju Samsung, there's Tewatia who has had one season, who is then there's Stokes around, there's Butler around, but these guys haven't performed in the last year in the IPL, right? So it's one of the major concerns that I have now that they've gotten Morris and Dubé. I think that will stabilize a little in their batting lineup as well as their bowling lineup, and they have Tyagi and Gopal to have a mix of the Indian mix. So and there's Yashasvi Jaiswal who will be starting for them. I hope he kicks off this season with a bang and he makes his mark. So I think overall you can't write them off. It's not a team that you can write them off, but it can be it can it's one of those teams that who can give trouble to the table toppers whenever it's time to it's you need that one win to qualify, and that's when Rajasthan will kick in and take you down.
So I do think that they do have a core, and this is just me thinking out loud, maybe. And I feel that it's more like a British focused core that they have. They have Joss Butler and they have Jofra Archer, who will be missing first half of the IPL due to injury. But they have Butler, Stokes, and Jofra Archer. And since Jofra Archer is not in, I think that there will be slow starters again. Last time around, they missed Stokes. Stokes was slow to be Stokes. And again, going back to the lack of bowling depth that they have, Karthik Tyagi will probably be in his second season, so we can expect a little bit more fire from him, considering he was also traveling with the team that was in Australia. So he will have some firepower. Shivam Dubey comes in and blocks that gap, but again, we do not know if he can actually find a place in the squad. I think considering him and his background that he's coming in from Kohli's team, I think he might walk into that team to begin with. But I don't think he will be getting games unless he proves himself consistently. Same happens with I think this time around you will have Miller playing all the games for Rajasthan. So for me, if you ask me to pick up the four primary overseas players, David Miller, Ben Stokes, Josh Butler, these three will be playing all the games. The fourth
And
might
Morris.
be Mustafizur
And Morris.
to
They have
plug the
Morris.
bowling gap.
They have
They
Morris.
have
You
paid
know
heavily
what?
for Morris as well. Yes, you're correct. So if
So
Morris plays, then again the problem lies with who bowls in those top 6 overs and who bowls in the death. Morris, with the lack of his pace, I do not expect him to be bowling in the end. Same happens with Ben Stokes. We stop Ben Stokes getting played all around the ground in the death overs when India was playing England. So I think that they have a decent batting firepower, but they will still lack uh, death bowling. I think they will lack death bowling, and they may have a problem finding the right balance between bowling. I mean, how do we make it the same issue that Virat Kohli had last year, where do we invest more in the batsman up the order and bat the other team out, or do we balance it in a way that we might have to invest a little bit more in the death bowling and the power play bowling. So that for me will be the biggest problem that they will have. They will have Tewatia. They have the middle order firepower to accelerate if needed. So they will have Tewatia. But if it was up to me, I would like to see the likes of Rian Parag, the likes of Yashasvi Jaiswal getting a successful run, just because they are going to be the future of Indian cricket at some point of time.
absolutely, absolutely. And so when I said they don't have a core, I meant they don't have a core Indian setup. So
True.
they don't have a core Indian setup wherein they had Uttappa in the last season, which didn't work out for them. Uttappa is in his late stage of the career wherein he's just going to be present. I don't know how much will he contribute. So you had Uttappa there, you had so by releasing all these players, I think they have had it was a good move to get Morris in, but I don't know who all will they end up playing. And it was a beautiful move to take Steve Smith out because he wasn't adding value. Let's be honest, he wasn't adding value to this setup. So all in all, who do you think will be a part of their starting 11? Considering Jofra is not going to be around for the first half.
For me, it's again one of those teams making a starting 11 from them is going to be a challenge because they have many players for the same role. They do not have successful openers. They do not have somebody they can consistently bank on. Yashasvi Jaiswal, yes, will be one of the openers to begin with, just because we have to add balance in the with the four overseas players. So for me, Yashasvi Jaiswal may get an extended run. But then again, you have Sanju Samson, Butler, Stokes, David Miller, who all are finishers rather than somebody who can take the game forward. So somebody who plans to sit there and bat through 15 overs, accelerate, play that role that KL Rahul plays. I don't think this team has that. I don't think this team, and maybe we might see a new Rian Parag who's probably trying to be a makeshift as that one round position who comes in and plays that role. So for me, if it was up to me to start them as put the team together for these guys, I would probably have Josh Butler opening with Yashasvi Jaiswal. One down would be Ben Stokes, so that's two overseas players right there. And after that will be pretty much Sanju Samson walks in. Then there is a possibility
Miller.
that David Miller comes in. That's three overseas players done in the top five. So with that being said, you have Rian Parag now, who I do not think is a good number six. He doesn't have the confidence to finish it. You have Chris Morris, which is all overseas players gone. Now that means that you are left with Karthik Tyagi. You are left with Markande as one of the spinners. You have Jaidev Unadkat as number 11. And then you might have to pick in Shreyas Gopal, who has been a consistent leg, or Tewatia. You have Tewatia coming
No,
in,
no,
who probably
you considered. Acha, you didn't consider Tewati.
Yeah, no, Tewatia in the middle order, but then that would mean that
Six,
you
seven.
have two genuine bowlers with who have pace. That is Karthik Tyagi. Jaidev Unadkat is a makeshift who I feel might get replaced with. There's a new kid that they have, and everybody is asking to keep an eye out for that kid. A left-arm bowler that they invested in. I will get that name right now. He
Mm-hmm.
is what was his name? Chetan Sakaria, left-arm pacer, 22 years age. He will be 23 by the time we see that game. But Chetan Sakaria is a left-arm pacer. People are saying keep an eye out for him. So that's him. We also have to think about Shivam Dubey somewhere in. So Rian Parag may not be the player there. He might be replaced by Shivam Dubey, considering they have invested so heavily on Dubey this time around.
And you're also forgetting the fact that they have Manan Vora somewhere in the mix. Mix of things. They have Vora to, back somebody. He has been a name in the IPL. He has not been that promising, but he has done. He has a couple of innings which people remember him for. So out of my 11 would be Butler, and there'll be a toss up between Jaiswal and Vora. Stokes, and pretty much the same team: Stokes, Samsung, Miller, Tewatia, Parag, Dubey, Morris, Gopal, and Tyagi. So I don't see a X Factor player in there. So that is what is my concern with this team. There's very rarely that in the Premier League we can say that there is no X Factor player who can make an impact. I really want to see that X factor out of them. That will be so that can be anyone, right? That can be a Ben Stokes or that can be a Sanju Samson for all you know. So who can win them games at will? So that is what we'll be looking at.
Ben Stokes and Sanju Samson can, if they have their days, they can win the game for you. But I feel that this will be a make or break year for Sanju Samson. He is already way down in the pecking order when it comes to keepers. Pant picks himself up. Ishan Kishan has knocked on the doors and he is standing right behind Pant. Sanju Samson has to start from scratch if he has to go back into that Indian squad. But for me, I feel that one of the changes that you can also think about is maybe dropping Miller and bringing in Andrew Ty as a bowling all-rounder who has the ability to bowl in the death. But besides that, I think that this team, I do not see them ending finishing in the top four.
So and one more problem about Sanju Samsung is he will play the first three or first four innings. So the first half of the IPL he will make sure that he's one of the table toppers. But eventually when the series goes, that's been his strength throughout, right? So he'll have an average of around 50 plus in the first four games. And after that, till the games get over, his average will come down to at around 25 to 30. So, which I think if he makes that consistent, he's banging the doors for the Indian selection. Anyhow, let's hope that they might upset some team. I hope that's not Bombay, but anyhow, let's go ahead. The next team
So
that
yeah,
we are going to
and
talk about.
again, a toss up between how many leg spinners do you need in a squad? Do you need Mayank Markande along with Tewatia? Do you also how many death bowlers do you need? Do you need Andrew Ty along with Mr. Fizur Rahman? Both of them
Mhm.
same type. One of them is a right arm who tries to roll the ball, knuckle ball. He tries to, Andrew Ty is his variety. Same happens with Mustafizur. Mustafizur for me may not get many games. He has been brought in, but then you also have Shivam Dubey, who's again the medium pacer who doesn't really bring any value in the death overs. So for me, that would be their problem where they, even if some of these guys control it to a certain extent, you will be lacking in the death or you will be lacking in the power plays. You won't have consistent 18, 19 decent overs. So they will always have a problem with the fourth or the fifth bowler. They will struggle there. So 8 overs is where you can get the most out of against Rajasthan. So I do not see them finishing in the top four. And I could be wrong, but I don't see them finishing in the top four.
So do I. I think they'll be that team who will upset somebody, like I said. So going forward, let's talk about the Kings.
Punjab
So
Kings. All right. Punjab Kings, again, a fan favorite. tons of fans overseas. I think this is probably the most popular team when it comes to finding support outside India. Um, Found momentum at the very end last year, had a very bad or poor decisions going against them in the first half of the IPL. Then they introduced Chris Gale, who changed their fortunes. They had a decent run, six unbeaten games, and then again, when it mattered the most, they failed. But I think that KL Rahul will be a much improvised captain this time around. I think they have tried to plug the right gaps in. They got Moise Enriquez, who has been a brilliant T20 performer both for Australia as well as in the Big Bash. So I think they have got the right combination. They also made a brilliant investment in David Malan. Um, he didn't go for much, but we saw what he's capable of when he played against India. Surprise, surprise, top number one batsman, but didn't really go for much. David Malan is definitely somebody to keep an eye out for. Their problem last time around was death bowling. Uh, Sheldon Cottrell was not really worth the money they had invested in, and I think they plugged that gap really well by getting in Jai Richardson this time around. So Mohammad Shami will have a great partner, and either Shami bowls in the power play or Shami finishes it.
To be fair, Cottrell was one of the bowlers that who would just he was a toss, right? If it goes your way, it goes your way. Otherwise, you're going for runs either ways. So with him, that was always the concern. With the thing with Milan is where do you play him? So you have KL to open with Mayank, then you have Gale Puran there. So your top four are sealed. So that's a sealed four, and I don't see the point of Gale being rested. If you have if you have him in the team, play him out, see how that goes, and then take a call if you want to play him more or sit him down. So that is what it is. Then you have Mandeep, Mandeep, Mandeep Singh, Mandeep, Mandeep Singh in the mix. You have SRK who brings in uh, a young Indian thing towards Shah Rukh Khan gets in from Kerala, so he'll come there. Interesting choice with Hendricks in the mix of things, and I think he's definitely going to be a part of their core, right? So you have three already done, and now the fourth one should be Richardson. I think that should be the top four who will start. Apart if Gale or Puran has their days off, then Milan could come in because I don't see Hendricks going and making way for Milan, or because that just shuffles the bowling lineup right there. So yeah,
So for me, I would look at this team from the other way around. I would look at the Indian core, and that includes both bowling as well as batting. So for me, if I was to pick this, Mohammad Shami plays all games. He selects himself by default. You have Ravi Bishnoi, who has been amazing performer. He will be also a part of this team. So that's two bowlers. So you have one pacer, one spinner. Then you also have Arshdeep Singh, who with his slower bowling, he was able to control the
beautiful.
bowling. So I don't see
He's
him
one of
playing
the
all the
best.
games, but he will get a run. He will get a decent run. I will also look at in the top order, Mayank and Rahul are playing all the games. It will be unwise to drop either one of them. So there is a place for one other, uh, local domestic talent. And now you're looking at somebody like a Mandeep Singh, who can either fill that gap in. You're looking at a Deepak Huda who can do that, or Sarfraz Khan, who is a pinch hitter. Do they need pinch hitters? You have Chris Gale, you have Rahul, whose primary job is to bat through 15 over. So do you need those, or do you bank on somebody like Chris Jordan to come in and blow him? He's good with for England. He has proven himself as a death bowler as well. So you can have Chris Jordan, you can have someone like David Malan again, who can bat through, but they have enough players who bat through. So you already, if you're looking for someone to bat through, nobody better than KL.
So no, I don't see KL. I see KL batting through, but I want him to go back 2 seasons prior and have that 150 strike rate running throughout. So that is one thing. And even if he fails, it is okay because his job is not to stabilize the entire innings. You have players who do that, right? You have a Mayank who will do that for you. I want him to go all out, all explosive, and then just see how things go later, because that has been his his trait, and he's carried it to the Indian team, and he's not been successful doing that. So just I want him to be what he was and just be explosive enough to take everything away from the Indian top.
So this is what I think about when I look at KL Rahul. In When he is looking at himself and what he will bring to Team India, to Team T20 India, considering the next World Cup is T20. What does KL Rahul bring? Should KL Rahul, there is no possibility that KL Rahul is opening now. You already have Virat and Rohit opening. You have Surya Kumar Yadav, which Kohli has pretty much said that he will be a part of he will be dropping in one down, and that is why he's playing. Next round will be KL Rahul. So KL Rahul, as we project in Team India, he will be batting at number four. Correct. Now at number four, KL Rahul's role will be to just blast it off. Considering Rohit and Virat, one of them has to play till the 12th, 13th over. KL Rahul coming in number 13, in the 13th over, his job is from the last 40 odd balls, he will be getting 20 and score 50 of it. So does it make sense to promote Gale and keep Gale and Mayank, and KL gets a hang of number four, where if one of the wickets falls early, KL comes in and he bats through. And we all know KL, if he bats 50 balls, he's going to score you 80.
Absolutely,
If he bats
absolutely,
50, he's
yeah,
going to score you 80. So I
absolutely.
would like Punjab to make that change, or I would like KL to make that change where he's thinking about, pushing KL up the order and himself coming down as number three, because for me, I think that will add value to both this team as well as Team India going forward. And
And
then they
and
also
and
have,
yeah, and
yeah, go
with
ahead.
Shreyas Iyer missing out, I really think that KL should be an ideal number four right now, as of now, because
Yes,
post injury, I don't know how things will be with Iyer. So anyhow, you're X Factor player for this team, and there'll be a lot of X Factor players, right? But you, if you have to pick one player as your X Factor player,
universe boss for me. He makes the difference. With Gale, the biggest thing that he does is, Gale being up the order, the other teams have to bowl their best bowlers at him. That leaves players, that leaves the number three, four, five bowlers for uh, the middle order. And I think this middle order is capable enough to take any bowler apart. So I think that this is one of the playoffs team we are looking at. I think that Punjab
I
will be in the top four right throughout the season.
I genuinely think that they will be in the top four, and for me the biggest advantage they'll have this time is Mohammad Shami with Richardson around. So
Yes.
I think he will be one of the players that we'll have to look out for throughout the season, because he'll have if not the same at par bowler with him to bowl out his spell. So yeah,
Weakness for me for this side, I feel the weakness is a spinner, a genuine spinner. Ravi Bishnoi is one, but they don't have a backup for him. There is, the bits and pieces spinners that we haven't really heard of, and maybe they spring a surprise. But as the season progresses, spinners will come into play, and they have the firepower to bat the opposition out. But this team, we are looking at a core of 6 or 7 match winners, genuine match winners, and I think
I
this is
I'm
going to be a
I'm
top four team.
I hope I'm guessing Shahrukh bowls, right? If I'm not
Shah Rukh
mistaken.
Khan is again primarily a batsman, a batting. I don't see him bowling 4 overs. Maybe a over here, maybe a
No,
over
one
there.
off, one off, one off Suresh Raina types.
Yeah, and Ishan Porel is again a bowler that they can bring in, but don't know if he gets an automatic nod ahead of everybody else. But Nicholas Puran, Chris Gale, Rahul, Mayank, these are pretty much four players, and maybe Nicholas Puran might be in and out, but these are the four players that I feel that will be
Puran had a
consistently playing.
Puran had a beautiful end season games last year. He had beautiful end season games. I hope that thing continues for him, and he becomes an automatic selection. But then let's see how things go.
So
So top four,
I definitely a top 14 for me.
beauty. So on that note,
All right. So on that note, guys, that's all that we have for today. We'll pick again another two teams tomorrow and see if we can do some analysis on those. But that's all that we have for today. So if you are come this far, please do let us know how we are doing. Give us a shout out. Give us subscribe to our channel. Let us know how we are doing. And if we are doing not so good, even leave that is fine as well. Leave us in the comments. If you're doing good, give us a shout out. We look forward to that. And that's all that I have for today.
okay. On that note, bye bye, guys.
Have a good day. Stay healthy, stay safe.